Welcome to Offbeat Gyan. This is a video on Yukio Mishima's Kantan. The video has been divided into 3 parts. In the first part, I'll be talking about Yukio Mishima. Next, I'll be talking about no drama, and finally, the summary of the Japanese play Kantan. So, who is Yukio Mishima? Yukio Mishima is quite a controversial and complex figure. He was a Japanese author, poet, dramatist, actor, nationalist and model. A very complex personality who was deeply influenced by 3 very important people in his life. The first part of his life, that is up to the age of 12, he was completely under the influence of his grandmother, who took him away from his home and she brought him up. She was a volatile person and she used to have these frequent violent outbursts. And this probably influenced Mishima also. She used to keep him away from the sunlight inside the house, and when at the age of 12 she brought him back to his family home, his father considered that his grandmother was responsible for making him effeminate, and he wanted his son to join the army. He wanted his son to be strong and follow martial discipline and have a rigorous life of that sort. So these were 2 contradictory influences which shaped him. While all this was happening, he kept on writing, and his mother was a very important figure when we look at the creative aspect of his life, because she was very supportive, and there were instances when his father would enter his room and take away all the things that he had written, but he continued writing with the support of his mother. He was a person who had deep pride in Japanese culture, tradition, the martial tradition of Japan and the monarchy. So, molded by 3 powerful persons in his life, that is his grandmother, father and mother, he developed into a complex person who was shaped by all these contradictory influences. At the age of 13, his father started taking him to watch the Japanese kabuki and no plays. He was deeply impressed by the plays he saw, and this shaped his creative influence. He wanted to join the army during the Second World War, and with this intention in mind, he went for the physical and medical tests. But during the physical test, he managed to get only the 2nd grade. This was very disappointing for somebody who aspired for a career in the army. And he also had a cold at the time of the medical test, and a young doctor misdiagnosed it as tuberculosis. So this was a hard blow for him, and he felt very disappointed and dejected, because he had already planned on joining the theatre of war with his friends and compatriots. But this came as a major letdown for him. And to make up for this, he became obsessed with physical fitness and bodybuilding. Emperor Hirohito was ruling over Japan during the period of the Second World War, and when the United States of America dropped nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 in order to end the war, Japan was defeated. Japan had to surrender, and Emperor Hirohito made a public radio broadcast of Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945. This was something that deeply hurt people like Yukio Mishima, who were very proud of Japan's ancestry, its tradition, culture, and they felt that they were being let down by the emperor. He took a vow to restore and rebuild Japanese culture and glory after post-war destruction. After the nuclear explosions, Japan was completely ravaged and there were huge casualties, and the impact of the nuclear bombs continued for a very long period of time. Japan was completely battered and destroyed. So, people like Yukio Mishima felt very dejected and depressed by the state of affairs, because once upon a time Japan was a proud warrior nation and suddenly it had been reduced to the level of a failed state. So, he took the vow that he would restore Japanese culture, and he did not support the post-war growth of democracy, materialism, communism, and the influence of the West on Japanese people, Japanese lifestyle, Japanese culture, Japanese ideas and thoughts. He was someone who was obsessed with military life, and because he could not get into the army, he continued with his training, and he also had a small group of like-minded people who trained with him, and they even attempted to mount a coup on the government, which was of course defeated. He was a prolific writer and extensive traveler. His most important work is the tetralogy, The Sea of Fertility. So when we look at his works, we find there are elements of homosexuality. There are elements of homosexuality in his personal life also. The most important themes in his works are, of course, youth, beauty, and death. He was fascinated with death, and seppuku or harakiri was something that fascinated him. At the age of 41, he himself committed seppuku or harakiri, ritual disembowelment, and that is how he died.